let you go first and go home.
Two meetings back, we talked about, you know, the 550,
Yeah.
replacing that, and that's we're trying to go on a 5-year plan with that. I think we talked about it, and
Well, the truck, big truck sounds like 7.
7, and that'd be the,
That one was a
16,
carryover.
yeah.
The carryover one in the box.
Yeah.
About 7. So, I mean, sometimes, how many miles on this?
52,000. Yeah, we got one. But if you go by 7 years, 16 you got the big standard, and that'd be next year. So I just wanted to
Yep, keep it in rotation.
give you a notice on
And in the small equipment fund, we have $27,981.
Yep, so you got a couple of quotes now?
it. Yeah. So,
Did you ever get one from Hayes with that truck? Or Gary Baxter?
well, they got one on the way. They ordered a bunch of,
Spec
files. Yeah. No, we didn't actually get a number from there. We gave them the, and we're looking at the F600. It's a longer wheelbase because this truck here is gonna have to side up on it. We got this in the front, so we did not back. And actually, he's put a 550 with the dump in it. You know, our bike balance, right? So
That's
that's
what it's
our,
always trying to get.
yeah. And, the 550, 19.5 PW, and 600 is 22.
So you put a little more salt on it? Is that what you're
Yeah.
suggesting?
Here, this from Newcastle, this is what they're talking roughly for a trading price.
The price wise are pretty close for the gross.
Yeah, and then this is the equipment. I go on that truck, side up,
This bunch out there that are just taking it over, do they have people on hand to actually work on it?
I don't know.
Were they able to do stuff the last time? Or did that-
I went to Hayes,
I would check the trucks, they won't service the fire.
down here,
And what model is that? 550, and the old school 550? That's not, now Barrett's, will they work on 550?
Yes.
Will they work?
I swear,
Oh, okay.
you saw that quote, that's on the equipment.
So these are just basic trucks, not equipment?
Right, that price for your truck and the price for your equipment.
Excuse me, just a second. I'm gonna suggest that the room be quiet so that the Channel 15 news can hear the discussion at the table. Thank you.
So this would be on top of that?
Yes.
That's what we used to pay for wheel trucks.
Same for whole truck?
I was just gonna say, that's what we used to pay for a tandem truck.
Yeah,
Crazy.
they're, I heard some awful numbers on them right now.
Is that right?
Over 245, 285.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't
Now,
know.
ready to go on the road.
Yeah,
So what's that last one?
the last one we just got was, 210.
Man. Telephone numbers.
I don't know, man. Find that paper down there. Somebody stops on.
It's not stuff to use, you lost it.
So those quotes, Mo, do you wanna keep them, or you wanna have Kathy keep them, so when we finally get down to seriousness?
Whatever, yeah, sure, she can, hold my desk.
And sometime they're gonna be sending one from these. Okay.
So did we decide on
No,
A
we're
direction
just,
on this one? Okay.
we were
Well,
just.
we're on the waiting list though, right? We're on the bunch, couple,
With Hayes, yes. Hay, the older one.
And these trucks right here, they have them in stock, am I right? No,
No.
same thing you got to
Same
order.
thing here, so
Yeah,
something you guys, I want to do.
right.
For the next meeting, we're kind of.
Let's see how town meeting goes.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
go after that.
Let's see, next week.
Be realistic.
Because everything, right now, as far as, I talked to Whiten, but they were, well,
Is that
yeah, as soon as you can get it, and like you say, your truck won't come in, they come in, they'll slide it in.
Yeah.
That's what he's told me. Yeah. I think international, they're all 2 years ago now. You want international truck?
Makes your,
I don't figure out.
makes your trading worth more, huh?
I should be.
Yeah, I would think. Okay, what else you got, Mom? We'll move along so you can
I
get
have paper, I don't know where it went.
everything else reasonably going on.
Yeah, yeah, put new springs on that 16, two trucks for.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, they got down the
Fairfield Selectboard. So they can do it for,
Yeah,
yeah, nothing in place, so.
well, you got everything right there to do it with.
Yeah,
Huh. Yeah. Who's that one? Is that John's?
no. Jake.
Did you look at any other trucks besides Fords?
Nope.
Chevys or
Nope.
Dodge or anything?
If you look around in most towns, they're Fords. Because they're heavier built. I don't know, another, maybe Enosburg. Even they've gone Ford.
Yeah, town of Maysburg, I said they just.
They just seem to hold up so much. Remember that first time we set up, what was it, $36,000? That was a little, 3,500?
Yeah.
Shit. Takes an awful pounding around that truck covers now.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. You know, if you guys can figure it out,
Yeah.
it does earn its salt. That's all I got.
Well then, thank you, and head home.
Okay.
Unless you wish to stay to the rest of the meeting and enjoy public participation.
I've been moving since 1 o'clock.
see you, Mel.
Thank you, Mo.
Hey, Mars.
Well, I guess next on this list, is this a combo, Julie and Greg? Or is it separate items?
Yeah, we're not, but we can follow each other. I mean,
Well,
it's,
both, why don't you both come up here, maybe there's questions you both can contain to at the same time.
So Julie, I just want to let you know that I was looking at the final recording that was delivered today, and I don't think we need to make a motion to move the money because of the way you counted it, but we'll just give an update on how things went. Okay.
and do they have the communication that I sent you today?
No,
No, okay.
no.
That's good. So there were two things that I guess I wanted to bring to your attention. One has to do with LRT Trailhead at the community center. The community center was approached by Jackie Casino, who's the program manager of the rail trail. And she was wondering if the community center would be willing to be an interim trailhead site until, or maybe even for, well, there's two possibilities. The state is working on getting the lease straightened out about the property, that they own.
Yep.
But it's gonna take some historical digging into the records to do that, and it'll take time. And the community center would be willing to entertain using their parking area for pedestrians, bicyclists, and there's the third, bikers. And the state is willing to support that and do signage for that. But I think we need your approval, the select board's approval to go in that direction.
What's the liability on that?
I'm not sure.
Like, it's involved in a whole,
Yeah, yeah, I think it's sort of an odd arrangement because the state is pushing for the trailheads, but it ends up being the town's responsibility in the end for maintenance.
like,
Yeah.
That's why we backed away from that
Yeah.
stuff before.
Yeah, so
They
I,
got the lease to the vast and all that, right? Vast leased the whole
Right.
system, and in my mind, vast should be the ones with the trailheads.
yeah,
Not to put some more on the town to take care of and maintain.
right.
That's just my opinion on
Yes.
this.
But I think at the community center, you know, at least we're an active organization that
Right.
uses that parking lot and, you know, can, I mean, with your help plowing and whatever, this is kind of part of the deal.
The nature of the trail has changed with the vast lease, and the state is taking a more proactive role in managing the trail for multi-use. And so, and as a result, they have grant programs that are specifically targeted to municipalities along the trail to build out these trailheads in coordination with Vermont Agency of Transportation, not VAST. So it's a little bit, it has evolved, I think, in the past 2 years from,
Putting all the fill back in the rail bed they took out 10 years ago. Yeah. Was there a permit for that? I asked one of their engineers one day, I said, I'd like to see your state permit to put all this back in here. Because we had to go through hoops to get it out for the floodplain. And I couldn't have any of the dirt go back in the land it came from. But now they brought back in thousands of yards of stone into the same area. And I was just questioning, he couldn't provide me a permit. So I wondered, is there a permit process for that, for them to do that? It was quite a permit bill to get it out of there.
right,
And then they're bringing it all thousands of yards back in.
yeah.
And they wouldn't give me an answer, so I thought perhaps with your position, you could find out for us. Well, for me personally, because I didn't see a permit put anywhere, and everything else, boy, they're dancing around you, so. I thought it was quite interesting, you could bring thousands and thousands of yards of stone back into an area they took thousands and thousands of yards of dirt out of.
Dirt Tech is located right in your office.
They were, the lease, they were there till the end of January. Yeah, but pretty much they finished, you know, the work. That
Because
was-
they got their thousands and thousands of yards of stone
That
back
was the
in.
only thing, you know, that
Yeah.
the trail was open for a short period of time and then they had to close it.
Then somebody woke up and realized when it
Someone-
floods, you
Someone
can't
would
go
know the
back.
answer to Ron's question at regional planning. And Ron's question, like support, we're off, the signage and support, those are words that are,
Right.
but the real question is, what are the liability concerns for the municipalities involved with trailheads? So
Or
someone-
even the community center.
Yeah, right, so if we got clarification from,
right?
I mean, I think it depends, if it's
Well, I'd like that, but I'd also like, from a personal perspective, an answer on that permit process.
yeah,
Because I think that,
Watch that, Kathy.
I know the area that you're talking about.
yeah, between my
I
place
don't know the answer to the permitting question.
We're all doing on purpose.
And I think that the liability question, I mean, if it's town-owned right-of-way, and you're talking about, you know, you're talking about a bike rack and a few parking spaces. You know,
this is
you have-
actually there at the community center.
yeah, I think Ron's question is, someone gets out of the parking lot, they're gonna hit the rail trail, they got their bike, they're unloaded in the parking lot, they break an elbow or something.
Or they slip on the ice and they
Sleep on
fall.
the ice. What is,
I mean, the town and the community center have your own, you know, insurance policies.
The big picture on this situation is that there are people who are gonna be parking in East Fairfield. And no matter what we do, they're gonna be parking. And they might park on the lawns, and they might park in people's driveways, and they might park all over the place. But if we can contain them into a place that makes sense, that people agree is safe, and we have the kinds of signs that will keep people protected, then we're gonna be in a better place in terms of liability than if we don't. But you're right, I can look into what our insurance policy covers for the community center
Yeah, or, yes.
and the drives.
New Street itself is a town road, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's all,
Yeah.
so it might all be within town right of way that this would happen.
It would be, yeah.
It's a good thing. I mean, it's good to think that there would be people using, you know, the parking and utilizing the trail, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, and we have, you know, with a wing there and
Right.
picnic tables.
Yeah, I was just down there today looking at parking in New Street in that area.
New Street, there's not much parking.
No parking on New
I know.
Street.
And there's,
New Street is only 2 rods wide, 32 feet, so there's nothing there to park. I mean, the biggest thing was that building, that old granary.
Yeah.
Get that
and
resolved, of course.
Right, and that might take a couple of years.
I don't know how much of the old Linford parking lot is Hoyt's or Jimmy owns.
Or it's, if you look at the property map, it's crazy, because Jim's comes right across to White's Road. And then the state kind of wise out. It's, yeah. It's
Yeah,
not,
you got the railroad right away,
Yeah.
and Route 36 right away, and,
and then state-owned property.
yeah.
There's 100 acres they have in
Would you like me to show
Where's
you?
that,
there.
there?
It's right there, yeah. I mean, that's what it's
Might as
labeled
well.
on the
Oh,
town
it's a
map.
Is that right?
You're
Yeah.
going out
Did you know that?
100 acres?
Trails?
No.
Yeah.
Really?
I believe that's what it says.
Yeah.
I gotta
I
find
mean,
it.
how could it be?
Well, unless they call all the railroad.
though.
Yeah, it might be.
It's just-
Oh.
You got a link to the railroad.
Yeah,
Refreshed.
That's all state land.
yeah.
So I have a map here that we can put onto the screen. We can figure out how to do it, screencast.
Yeah, I met with Jackie Casino and Bill Gray, and Bill had agreed to do a map, but I haven't seen it. I guess it came to Greta and Kathy today.
Maybe she was attempting to illustrate what you spoke about was your meeting earlier today?
I talked with her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But he agreed to do this when we met.
Okay.
I think overall, though, we don't have an issue with it. We'll check into liability, make sure it's
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
yeah,
Great.
Yep.
Do you guys have room enough to?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we'll have to do some.
I was just gonna say, what happens when you have events,
Right.
and then that trailhead, if
Yeah.
they have something goes on
I'm worried
and
about
fills up
that.
the whole parking lot?
We have designated parking somehow. I mean, we'll have to figure that out.
Just
And
like
and part of maybe
snowmobilers.
what
things like
Greta's,
that.
Formalizing some of the existing parking
Well, you
spaces
got
there.
Summertime, you get all baseball that's filled up with baseball people.
yeah. Yeah. So that's,
So you're thinking about School Street here?
yeah.
You can see the map behind you,
Why
Kevin.
did I didn't understand New Street, I meant to say School Street.
There's a
Yeah,
direct
no,
issue,
it's great.
so I'm not gonna be able to point it out.
And I think the state owns most of, no, I guess not. I was thinking the state owned a section of Jim's lot. It's hard to tell property lines there.
No, some of you guys wanna work with original planning in the state.
AOT is coming through right now for a spring construction of this temporary signage across trail. And so this is proposed as to be part of that project constructed in the spring, the signage.
And are they, did you say that they're proposing it, they're gonna propose this widening, you know, they're gonna be paying for it, or are you asking the town to pay for it?
No, this is paid for by AOT.
So they wanna put signs at the end of School Street?
I haven't seen the plans for this in terms of where the signs are going. This was sent to me today, so this is as much as I can report on what their plans are. I
Proposing
think
that people use School Street to access community center, as opposed to Mill Street, because of the visibility.
But there would be signage, I presume, near the trailhead, you know, about where parking is. And then at the community center,
Right.
this is rail trail parking.
And it looks like they're proposing to widen the parking lot, pave and line and stripe things.
Do you have a question, Sarah?
Yeah, this is a question for Greta. Has AOT identified other similar parking areas along the rail trail that might provide overflow in the case of, baseball season? Or is this one of the primary areas they're looking to provide access?
So I think what the state is working on right now is a preliminary parking plan for construction in the spring to provide signage and some immediate parking
Okay.
needs, given that the trail is now fully open. And I think in the case of the community center and many others, it could be that this is a temporary solution because it's needed now.
Right.
And then municipalities will have the opportunity to do more planning for the best permanent location and additional considerations such as, as you spoke of, overflow parking, that is a heavily used area in the spring, during Little League, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
So
certainly
there'll be-
there's more
there'll be
planning
multiple
that
points of
would
access.
benefit this area for parking
Oh,
and walkability in general.
yeah.
But this would preliminarily address a designated parking area for the rail trail and allow it to be part of this spring construction project.
So when you say spring construction, you're talking about signage and
Yeah.
designating some of the parking, is that
Mhm.
the construction you're talking about?
Yes.
Well, I guess go forth and see if it works. I guess we'll take a view of it again afterwards, but it's gonna start somewhere.
You'll have more formal plans at some point soon?
I mean, maybe with Jackie Casino and Bill Gray,
Okay.
we could.
Yes, I can follow up on that. I haven't been the person or the staff person at the table for this conversation, so.
Okay.
And there hasn't been one
Yeah.
from NRPC to date.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we can get some design, if we can get some like really design ideas, like where things are gonna go and what that would look like.
Yeah,
We can come back to the select board and show that and see what happens. Okay, so.
preliminary
And I'll find
support
out
for
about-
concept, would like to see more detailed designs.
Yeah, and liability, if there's any, if the state can pitch in some, some liability language, that would be helpful.
And just briefly on the ARPA funds, we've Julie submitted the report today
She did, thank you.
for the completion of some projects, most of the projects.
Yeah, so it looks like, the total award for one of the ARPA projects was $59,000. The actual costs incurred for that project, that's the one that had the, all of the multiple things, so we had, fire, outside pizza thing.
Pizza Oven, West End, Playground,
Multiple
Yeah.
things.
signage.
So the full amount, the actual cost incurred by the project was $69,535. And, the community center match was $3,827.78. And then there is that other ARPA funding that went toward, we have to figure out how we're gonna do the accounting on that, but the other ARPA fund went toward the west end as well. So, that's part of those numbers.
So, thank you for that.
So this is completed and working and functioning.
Yep. Yeah, there's more work to do on the kitchen part of that West End. We've written some grants that
See what
some
arrives.
idea where to go. So.
It looked good when I was in there for the last month or so.
Excuse me?
It looked good when I was in there last
Yeah,
month.
it's a really difficult
Done a nice
space.
job.
All right, well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
And Greta.
Yeah, I have part two to that conversation.
Okay, well,
I'll sit back.
yeah, now part two.
Thank you.
I have a printout.
also the, oh yeah, this one. There you go.
I can need one.
I think we should all
Yeah,
have
thank you.
Oh, do you have
One more if you got one? Yeah.
So, related to the opportunity to make East Fairfield as a whole safer for bicyclists and pedestrians, taking advantage of the fact that there is the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail that crosses through the village center, I think there's some opportunities for you to look at formalizing sidewalks and bicycle facilities in the area. And so the way to do that, the way to start that process would be through a scoping study, which would look at alternative designs and ultimately you would select a preferred design and it would ready you for design and construction funding applications. So that's what the scoping study is. And if looking at walkability and bicycle and pedestrian improvements in East Fairfield is something that you're interested in supporting and furthering and evaluating, then I would recommend pursuing a scoping study through one of two funding opportunities that are coming up this year. The two funding opportunities are the Vermont Bicycle and Pedestrian Program with a spring application cycle, so that's coming up. Last year it was due beginning of June. And then also to LVRT, Lamoille Valley Rail Trail Communities, there is a community grant program available with many of the same requirements. It's also administered by the Vermont Agency of Transportation. It's federal highway funding, so very similar program requirements, and that's a fall application cycle, so it's much later. So we're just bringing this up as an opportunity for you to consider. It would allow you to take a look at the area as a whole, given the LVRT there and the increase in bike and pedestrian traffic you're going to see. Formalize, thinking more permanently and long-term about rail trail parking and accessibility around School Street and Route 36 in that area. So just bringing these two grant opportunities to your attention, letting you know what they can fund, the scoping study, which would do that feasibility analysis and come up with an initial design, and noting that scoping study would then ready you and make you eligible for the design and construction funding from the same grant sources.
Can that match be in-kind work from the town?
No, it needs to be a cash match.
Cash match, okay.
So the scoping study, there's no commitment the town needs to make to pursue design and construction to do the scoping study, so that you're not promising that you're going to implement it. Once you to apply for the next round design, you have to apply together with design and construction. So between $8,000 and $12,000 would be the match commitment needed for a scoping study.
And the ongoing maintenance costs?
So depending on what the facilities end up being, there will be a level of maintenance required for that new infrastructure, both whether similar to what your maintenance cost would be for the sidewalk in this village.
So it's the town's maintenance?
So is that it would be the town's maintenance rate.
Am I reading this right, Greta? So you got a grant, I'm just throwing a number out here, $1 million. We gotta come up with 100. Right, if I'm doing this math? And then if it goes over, say 650, the town would be obligated for the other part of it, the other 150. Again, am I reading that right though? I'm just throwing numbers out here, I'm just trying to make
I'm speaking specifically for the scoping study.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking the project itself.
So
if
the
it were.
construction, if you were to move forward with
Because
construction.
we went through this dance for this thing out here.
Okay, I don't know the details of
taste,
that.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's why I'm wondering when it says, anything after the grant, basically the town would be on the hook for it. If I'm reading this thing
So
correctly.
this is just
I'm not talking the
considered
scoping grant, I'm talking
Yeah,
you
we're
build
not-
it.
Yeah, we
It
haven't.
was like this one out here was 700 some thousand.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but if you are, I'm just putting these ahead of
Yeah.
them, so we know what we're talking about down the road, that all of a sudden, we're on the hook for another 100,000.
If you get a grant and then after you're awarded that grant, the project cost increases, then you're on the hook for that project.
We're on the hook for it, that's what I thought.
Increase, yeah, and which is what that's saying, and the same rules apply for construction project as for scoping. But your scoping, I mean, good project management is important, but sometimes there's cost overruns that you can't
Oh, yeah,
help.
it happened before.
So, I mean, there's a lot of funding opportunities available for construction, but, and then the long-term maintenance, I think it's important to think of the cost benefit of why you're investing in this infrastructure in the first place, and the contribution to the village center that it will make, the contribution to bringing new bicycle and pedestrian tourism to the village. So I think that there is a great economic benefit to reinvesting in infrastructure in your village centers.
Maybe entail a restaurant of some sort.
That's up to you.
Well, they generally look to start or end up somewhere like near those.
There's always more to it, Tom.
So anyway, I just wanted to bring these opportunities
No, thank you.
to your attention.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of potential there to create some, improved walkability in the East Fairfield community with the LVRT passing right through.
Can you take 1 minute and brief the select board and the audience on what you briefed at Northwest Regional Planning this last meeting about the zoning changes, ADUs, and some of the, you have Target or some other towns that are participating in some.
Sure. So new topic.
New talk, no, just a teaser, just because this is something the town is interested in. Our head of our planning and zoning is behind you, Melissa, and just real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the state has a new grant opportunity available. It's in its second round right now, and there'll be a third round coming available or coming online this fall. It's called Bylaw Modernization Grants. And the intent is that, understanding that the state is experiencing a housing crisis in many areas, well, in all areas, home prices are skyrocketing, they're increasing at really high rates, and generally there's an overall shortage of supply. And so we're looking at ways that municipal bylaws can not be a barrier to new housing construction in and around our village centers, right? So not anywhere, in and around the areas that housing is intended for, which are our mixed-use centers and the neighborhoods that immediately surround them. So in many cases, so NRPC coordinated with St. Albans Town to apply for a grant, and it was a consortium project with 5 Franklin County towns. So St. Albans Town was the lead, but then we also have Highgate, Montgomery, Enosburg, and Sheldon that are also a part of that consortium. And so we are doing bylaw audits of each of their regulations and looking at basic opportunities to make minor amendments and other recommendations where their bylaws could better support new housing in the communities. So that can be potentially allowing for 3 stories in certain districts. It could be ensuring that your minimum lot sizes and frontages are right sized to the historic development patterns and density that your village centers and neighborhoods can achieve. I think many of those types of changes were made in the latest rewrite of Fairfield zoning regulations relating to the designated village centers and historic development patterns there. Some of the other considerations and recommendations are there opportunities for small multi-unit structures like 2 to 4, maybe 2 to up to 8 in some cases in some communities, to have an administrative site plan review. And so those small multi-unit structures wouldn't go through like a conditional use process. They would have some specific standards that the ZA could approve. So these are just, those are an example of the types of standards that, recommendations and tweaks to zoning regulations that we're recommending. Ensuring also, I guess, relating to allowed uses, ensuring duplexes are allowed everywhere, and other small multi-unit dwellings, 2 to 4, are certainly only not requiring conditional use review. Maybe they require site plan review if you're going the administrative route.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There is one other thing that you were gonna talk about, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
The designated village center program. Have another handout for you. So your designated village center in East Fairfield and the center, it is, did you say May? You have to submit the application by May.
May, yeah.
So there's an 8-year cycle for that designation, and you have to reapply. It's a renewal, it's not a complete reapplication. And so I'm just bringing to your attention that renewal is coming up, and that the importance of those designated village centers for the town, in the form of benefits to income generating properties, so commercial properties, being able to access tax credits to reinvest in private infrastructure in the town. And then also the priority consideration for state grants is another big one. So any grant you apply for, you're going to end up getting a higher score because you have this designated village center if that grant has any relation to planning in and around your villages. So I can't think of a cost at all to having this designation, right? And so I think it's important to point out to projects in St. Albans City I don't know why I said St. Albans City, in Fairfield Village, Fairfield Center, that have received those tax credits. The brick store, I think it was a 2019 tax credit, over $150,000. And then the Soul House, just in 2022, received a small tax credit for some code improvements. So you have 2 businesses that have recently taken advantage of those tax credits, which is great, which wouldn't be possible without this designation.
In terms of the application process, we're talking about a lot of grants and application. The Northwest Regional Planning Commission is available to help with some of this.
Is it a big renewal?
No, the
And we
renewal,
also-
it's not a big deal at all. It's a compilation of, we'll write you a letter for you to include in the application. I think the select board needs to agree that you want to, and so the minutes or some sort of resolution needs to be included in the application. We need to document that your town plan has language that supports the benefits of the designation along with the boundaries. I think that's
Yeah, and if there's anything that we've done specifically to further the goals of the municipal plan over the last year or 2.
so it's a compilation of a few letters. Pretty simple.
Next due when?
Yeah.
This May?
That's it. We think you can get it done in time.
Sure, Is that something we could just make a motion right now to have that part done? That we continue on and reapply?
Yeah, you could just.
Yeah, make a
directly-
motion, we designate our town administrator to draft a language to designate village centers,
To reapply
to
or?
reapply.
Yeah, somebody second that? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nope.
All right,
We got that part of it done.
all right, so that was the last, that's all I
That's it,
have
just
for you.
4?
Study, is that something to look into?
I'm so glad you came,
Is there-
Greta.
Yeah.
It's really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you in
Yeah.
person.
Yeah,
You said there were grants for that study, for the
The
East
scope.
Fairfield Village?
there's a scoping one.
The scoping study?
There are 2 grants, and that, I think they're outlined on the first handout I gave you. Yeah,
And that would allow us to do a scoping study, but doesn't commit us to any construction projects thereafter.
right.
It just gives us the ideas that we would need in order to create a strong application if the convergence of interests continues to be going toward East Fairfield Village Center development.
But is the project, but is that where you have to come up with 8 to 12,000 towards this?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you can see, I wouldn't do it tonight with all the other stuff we got. but-
And so if, we're happy to help.
But that spring application's probably out of line, right, this year.
It's not impossible, no. We're happy to assist either a grant writer or otherwise with an application. So that's something, we're happy to have additional conversations around what opportunity is best, so just feel free to reach out.
Thank you. So our next agenda item is actually that we have a grant writer applicant here to meet.
Thanks, Reggie.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to go into executive session to meet with him, but we've had one applicant, we've talked about him in the past. I gave you a heads up that he wanted to come and meet with you, and he's here tonight. Steve True. How would you like to address that? Would you like to go into executive session, or would you like to?
The gentleman will do.
I recognize that, personnel discussion might not be the most appropriate time, use of your time. But I did want to meet you all and, discuss the need for a grant writer for the town and my enthusiasm to do it.
What is it, your zoning administrator?
Yeah, I'm
In
just
Ferrisburg?
in Ferrisburg, I'm a zoning administrator in Ferrisburg. I have been for the past year.
You live in town though, right, Steve?
Yeah, I do. I mean,
Yeah.
I spend 4 days a week down in Ferrisburg.
Okay.
But yeah, I live in East Fairfield.
Yes, so personnel issues
Let's
are
go.
better left in executive. If we're gonna talk high level, we could do that.
Let's go 5 minutes executive. He's here, he's interested.
Okay.
Someone make a motion
I
then.
make a motion to go into executive to discuss personnel.
I'll second.
Okay, so we're going to executive
Hire, Mr. Shul as,
on a 3-month basis, right?
3-month trial basis as a grant writer.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? If not, Mr. Chu will be trying out the grant writing position. Okay, let's get,
Where are
we are now down to
David?
Dave and Peggy.
Dave, you want to come up?
I could, I think I'd like to let my neighbors have the opportunity to express their concerns first, and we may know a little more what, we're talking about.
Well, at the last meeting, we said we would, if I remember correctly, we would give you you were asking, what were we looking for as a board, if I believe right?
Well, I was looking,
So what we got right here is a memorandum of a breakdown of the stuff we had gotten from that town attorney, for the select board. So I guess if you wanted to take a look at this first.
I can do that while people,
Are you all comfortable with that?
We need to, are we all good?
Is that what we're doing?
You guys have read it, so.
I actually have it here.
if you don't mind, I would kind of read this one,
Yep.
maybe.
Sure.
Our friends and neighbors get a chance to comment. Just, when we're talking here, it just seems like we're all striving for the same thing. I think everybody appreciates Fairfield the way it is, and we'd like to keep it just the way it is if we could, but, we feel that this project's a reasonable project, and it's good for the town,
Is this a public document now?
You just made it a public document, yes.
So if other people want to read this.
Yes, they can.
So this is the attorney that the town hired,
The select board hired,
the
yes.
select board hired to examine our town plan.
The plan and interpret as it was presented
I've
And what
emailed
you
this to you.
I don't need a copy, maybe, okay.
Is anybody else that wants a copy of it?
Perhaps we should pass these around the same time. Apparently, this is a visual hang-up that we have, and you let us know, what it is that is really concerning as far as the visual impact, and we might take a address it.
I see them also.
Yeah.
Or is that part of yourself?
So, I did try to, connect with him, he hasn't come to the meeting. So would you like me to show the pictures on the screen that you sent me last time?
That would probably
Would
be
you like-
helpful.
Would you like me to?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean,
Dave, what are you actually taking pictures of?
I think the better way is to do it on the screen so you can see. The printouts are hard to see.
I have one picture that I want to, I physically took this with my camera from Mackenzie Road. And, this is the balloon, this is up over the,
Well, if we're gonna show some of those pictures.
gonna show pictures
should
that
show
show
that
them all.
picture with it. So we're all kind of know what we're looking at, right?
There.
I don't know if she can show this one or not, but.
I can get the thing to start. If we can show this. Oh, I don't know, what, do you have something that you can,
I have a picture on my camera.
do you have an email?
Yeah,
It's town admin.
okay, wait a minute.
I gotta get this on. No, it's not on.
I'll get some more.
So you want it as a message or email?
Email would be best, assuming I can get the TV.
better put me in your stuff.
I need to see if I can get the TV. Town admin at Fairfield, Vermont, spelled out .us. Because if the thing doesn't start for whatever reason.
Where this balloon is, would that be the tip of the balloon?
that's supposed to be high as you can reach.
Mine isn't David, this is like not.
Yeah, that's the top, that's the
It
top.
was on.
Send
It
it
was
One
on.
of the plates.
Okay, I don't know
37.
if I can get the TV to work.
So part of the tower would be in there too.
Yeah, the tower's at 100 feet, and then the blade's 37 feet.
It's right on the back of it, right there, Kathy.
It's still not working.
Get it for them.
So that's the,
But we got the handouts.
I can't
we've
seem
got
to
the
get this
handouts.
going.
Anybody that's interested wants to.
Yeah, if you wanna come on up and look at the pictures.
Put that one with them, yes, or near them.
I'm so sorry.
No.
I can also show, I can bring this around too.
I go downstairs and get my
That's
stuff
fine.
back there if you want.
That's, we're good, we have the pictures, that's not,
Okay,
You want me to?
no, we're good.
I think we're okay.
You want me to?
So where
Take
are
Can
we
you grab
going?
those photos?
Set that up.
That you found like
Yep,
that.
plug in.
Just have everybody's way or something, I guess.
So from here, I mean, the memo we just handed out outlines the opinion of our lawyer according to the town plan.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot else we have at this point for input, correct?
Say that again?
I'm aware, but
We don't have a lot of other input. All right. We have the window to offer Dave our opinion, which we just gave him. And then after he applies to the CPG, if you see whichever acronym it is, we have another chance to provide them with our feedback. So at this point, that's kind of the extent of feedback.
The last meeting when Dave was asking, and we took no action because didn't know, was there something that we were hoping to do that could alter it, change it or something? But I said, we don't have any opinion.
Unfortunately, that's not our,
It's
we
not our
can't
preview.
take that approach. That's the developer's job to.
I guess I'm still having a hard time getting my head around exactly where does the project get outside the provisions of the plan.
So there's,
Can you
language in there.
highlight it for me?
We can read the whole thing out loud if you like. It's really all about that. I mean, it's all in there. It's like page 2, I think. I don't have a copy.
I mean,
Can I look at them?
at a 6 feet too high, or, you know, what's the problem? We know they're two separate projects, we applied for them at separate times.
So on page 43 through 44, if you look at page 2, basically all of page 2 talks about where in the town plan this opinion came from. Page 64, page 43 through 44, page 76. And those are the things that really have to do with the land development and proximity of Fairfield to Fairfield Pond and what's expected. So that's all written in here.
And in my opinion, when they were talking about proximity as related to the pond, they were talking about what was going on the pond, not a mile away from the pond.
Comments?
Yeah, outside of that, I mean, that's,
I mean, we're going with what we've got a legal opinion on, of his interpretation of the town plan. Am I correct on that?
it's an opinion, it's a scenic view, it's,
Which view shed, which picture?
He reviewed all of the pictures you provided and all of the pictures that were taken with the balloon. Everything that we had to date, along with town records of property lines, he looked at, and he looked at the town plan. And he,
Visited
based on
the
his
site.
experience, yeah, and he did a site visit, that's correct.
Would've been nice if I'd have known, I'd like to know when people go exercising on the place, but, could have accompanied them.
I don't believe he walked on your property. I think he-
Oh, I thought that's what
No,
you
site
just.
No,
visit of
Yeah,
the
as
pond.
far as driving around the pond and identifying where the project would have been.
I stand corrected, I'm sorry. I'm David Harder, man, you?
I'm Bobby Green, it's nice to meet you.
Bobby? Oh, yes, it is nice to meet you.
Oh, is this one? Oh, I just started drinking.
This is Dave Pearson.
Sorry.
Nice to meet you.
So, I guess, you know, I came here hoping to mitigate. I didn't think we were very far apart. How would you advise we can go forward?
Kind of,
I don't know that the board
Yeah.
can truly advise you on this stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's an engineer, I'm just throwing aside, because I don't know, I've never done this stuff.
Well, this is uncharted territory for us as well.
But I believe it had to be sort of through somebody somewhat like the fellow that came originally or was on the screen that night.
yeah.
I've got something about that fellow. The project review committee sent out some meeting minutes from January 11th. And one of the bullets on it was from Demars. And he stated that he felt the angles of the current view shield analysis were somewhat deceptive. This is the pictures that Jason Day took, because they did not show angles where the project would be more visible. The committee reviewed, this is again the project review committee, reviewed the current view shed images and agreed that they did not show some angles of the project that might have been most impacted. I have that paper here too if you want to see it.
Well, that's PUC. We offered our opinion of how we believe.
Interpreted the town plan.
Right, the project meets or doesn't meet the town plan.
Dennis,
We-
can I
we-
get a copy of that?
Or is it online? Somebody can make one.
But other than that, I don't think, just my opinion at this time, we don't have,
And I spoke to a lawyer the other day, just,
Got it, we just, invite the lawyer.
yes. I mean, that's what we're going by, to try to follow the town plan.
and he reiterated the other day to me, just, we have the option to provide Dave and Peggy with some comments now, whether it does or doesn't meet. We pointed out the pages of the town plan that we feel it does or doesn't meet. And that's kind of the extent of what we can do. I mean, we can't tell you where to put the windmills, because we'd tell you to put them in the wrong place and face the wrong direction, and
Well,
it's not our profession. I mean, it's new to all of us, so it's not.
I mean, first and foremost, we were hoping to achieve community support, approval from the select board. We'd like to go forward in harmony, but I guess it sounds like I gotta go around to get there.
So you have, in the last two paragraphs of this letter, of this memo, it says that you have control over the first instance of the project site, location, design, number, and height of the proposed turbines. And you may determine that shifting you may determine that shifting or changing your project can mitigate some of the concerns that were outlined. So it's not up to the select board to make those changes.
I can appreciate that, it's just hard for me to make the changes. I was kinda hoping we could put a picture up and you'd say, if that was, 10 feet shorter, then we could see what we could do about that. But, I mean, it's like shooting at the board blindfolded, if we can't precisely know what it is we're addressing.
Personally, I think it's sightline,
It's fine.
If you're on a pond and you can't see them, then I think it meets the town plan.
But a lot less maybe.
But I think we could make an adjustment so they couldn't be seen from the water.
That's mine.
But any of that is something you're gonna have, if I understand this right, I'm not saying I do, that's something you're gonna have to do and come back, in my mind, and say, hey, look, we've decided to move them down that meadow or pasture, whatever that is, 40 feet or something. I'm just throwing a number out, because I don't know. And maybe that works.
But otherwise, we become developers.
Right, we're not, we don't, just barely know the regulations, that's me.
I have a statement to make. I'm Bobby Green, and a year-round homestead resident on the western side of Fairfield Pond since 2006. What you've indicated today focused on your ideas to mitigate or change the configuration of your wind turbine project. Nothing in your presentation has changed the select board or its legal counsel opinion that your project still is in conformance with applicable Fairfield municipal plan provisions. The select board and its legal counsel has the right to ask you to submit additional sites on the Horrigan land that would without a doubt hide from view from anyone living on the western side of Fairfield Pond the proposed wind turbines. I propose the select board makes this request in writing to you. You then come before the select board with your proposals. The action on your part shows your commitment to work with the Fairfield Municipal Plan, its select board members, and PUC record compliance.
And with you as well, Bob.
Oh, no.
Okay, well, I don't think, Do you have any other information? I mean, pretty much stated how we're gonna, as a board, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we put this out. I think if anything has to be done or changed, it needs to be done on your end for us to look at again. That's just my interpretation. Yes.
Hi, I'm Jack Bapp. I live across from Brian and Mark and Mike on Fairfield Pond on the east side. And one of my neighbors took a couple friends of hers across the pond up to Brian to see, with the pictures and tried to line it up, and all you see is the tip of the blade. None of the pictures, they were photoshopped or something, because none of the pictures matched the lay of the land. So I think we're getting a lot of false information and a lot of false pictures of what they look like. I don't think that, they're so far, there's a ridge on the,
Hey Jack, would you like to see the picture of the balloon? Did you see the balloon?
yeah, I see the balloon, but I never saw, I just seen them in the picture, you can't hardly see it. And as far as I'm concerned, it's far enough away from the pond, it would not bother anybody around the pond. You got a ridge line on the east side that we can't see up over, and it's on a second ridge line, and the electrical line that comes down over by John White's sugar house is in line with that, and you will not ever see, I don't think, them windmills hardly a bit, probably the further end of the tip. I see a lot of hassling, a lot of stabbing neighbors back and forth, which shouldn't be done over a project like this. Like the Belial project, that was gonna be on the south end of Fairfield Pond. We would have seen the windmills and probably heard very few of the reverberating sound that goes up and down the pond that everybody's saying. And that, the Belial one was also on the second ridge, behind Doobie's. And now we're going through the same project. I didn't speak out on the Belial project, but now I think this, in order to save this guy's land, we used to log in the wintertime, the old farmers, and sugar in the spring. Now the guy is trying to save his land, and everybody's promoting non-fossil fuel projects, and I think this would fit just right in Fairfield. And the tax base in Fairfield, over the last 15 years, I've paid over $81,000 on a 60 by 120 foot frickin' lot. Now I think that's outrageous. I think we gotta get some type of windmills and solar panels and get taxed, a different tax base in Fairfield. This can't keep on going on. And everybody in Fairfield, 75% of them are in land use. I'm paying for Mr. Doobie's, I'm paying for Corey's, I'm paying for Brandon's, I'm paying for Horgan's land use because my taxes are high. It's time to stop kicking this ball down the road and let this project go through.
Yeah.
Oh, another state, I want to make another state. Out of the 60 people that voted yes and 4 or 5 against, I didn't vote on the Fairfield recreation. In 2007, when I paid my first taxes on my new place, I went up and got a tax assessment paper, and there's 120 people at that time paying taxes around Fairfield Pond. Fairfield was pulling over $250,000 out of Fairfield Pond. Since then, you probably got another 10 to 15 more people. You got 4 big houses on the Whites Road. You got one on down by Mr. Bocat. And I didn't figure them in. So we got to get a tax base in Fairfield, in East Fairfield. And this can't keep on going on. Their taxes can't keep on going on. My grandchildren, they probably won't be able to afford it.
Are these things taxable? I have no idea. I asked that question once before. And
Well, like I said, I think they'd be like a barn or silo or sugar house, anything else we do to try to keep the farm.
You gotta watch your contractors. Contractors will port you on them. That's gonna raise his property taxes up, and the developer is the one that gets the most money.
Well, I assumed that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for speaking up.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Yes, Mayor?
Am I allowed to speak?
Up to me.
Okay. I guess I am confused, concerned. I know everybody in this room practically. And I've known you all my lives. And I think that we've all valued the same things all the years that we've lived here in this area. And I think we treasure the same things. We want to hold on to the things that are important to us. And obviously, if we live in Fairfield, one of the major things is the land, the open landscape, the woods and the fields. And who do we have to thank for that? The farmers, who never get thanked. You drive down the interstate, and where farming has gone out, you no longer have scenic views. You have trees growing right up on the sides of the road. We all want the same thing here. We want Fairfield as we've known it, but at the same time, we know that renewable energy is something we all have to assume some responsibility for. May not be what we like, may not be the path we want to go down, but what are our choices? Solar? Do we want fields and fields of solar panels? I don't. I'm not in favor of big wind projects either. I don't, something like Georgia Mountain or Lowell has no place in Fairfield. But when I looked at what Peggy and David were proposing, and I looked at the renditions with the balloon on the tip of the blade, I said, must be people misunderstood this. They must have thought that those turbines that you put in to show what Georgia Mountain would look like here, they must have thought that was what your project was, Peggy, David. They couldn't have understood that the balloon was the very tip of the blade of one of those turbines. But sitting here this evening, I'm getting the feeling that you didn't misunderstand, that you truly feel that the tip of one of those blades is going to be an eyesore to the people living on the pond. I have property. My mother has owned property for decades there. It's on the west side of the pond. It faces that direction. And I do not see where that is going to be a big issue for me. And I wouldn't feel that way any differently if it was property that was owned by Brian or somebody else who's putting up this same project or who wanted to put up this same scale project. I guess that's all I wanted to say.
Yep.
So, I think one point of clarification we should make is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as a board, we decided to approach this as an unbiased, what does the town plan say? We're not saying our personal opinions for or against, because I think the board's kind of both ways on that. We're looking at the town plan that the members of the public put together, and based off our lawyer's opinion of what is said in that town plan, we're making a statement or a decision. We're not jumping up and down for or against the project. We're trying to make an unbiased, fair assessment of the project for our neighbors. We're not up here because we want to deal with this one way or the other. We're trying to be fair about it. And I think that's a good way to end this part of the meeting.
But it's not a project in the Fairfield Pond District. It's not in the district of the Fairfield Pond.
It's in the scenic. That's why it's called our lawyer's opinion. I'm not arguing with you, I'm not.
It's not in the Fairfield Pond District.
And maybe you'll get a different opinion from the CP, or PUC, sorry, about
Or a
that.
different attorney that was hired by the developers, you know. Obviously, he probably had a pretty good idea what the opinion was we were looking for.
Kells aren't able to keep Fairfield the way we've always had it any longer. They don't pay the taxes anymore. So, we're all gonna have to accept some changes down the road here. And
And
I don't
that's,
see why anybody would walk 10 houses on the Menard Road versus a few wind turbines. That impacts the whole town, schools, everything else.
I guess that's,
Wind turbines would be a lot less impact to this town than 10 houses. We're all gonna have to accept some changes as things go in the near future.
and I guess that's what I'm saying is, we're basing it off the town plan. And the people sitting in this room on both sides of the table have input in that. Feel free to be involved.
Well, we have to listen to both sides,
Yeah.
both sides of the coin, and also look to the future if other developments come along in wind turbines in the different areas, and a lot gets determined on what you set the precedence when you start it. And so that's why we're trying hard to follow this town plan.
I don't
And
think,
that's why we got legal representation that knew far more about it, and I'm not claiming to have any super knowledge of it by any means. So, I'm just talking for myself on this one, but that's why we've done what we've done, and tried to look ahead a little bit too,
I think the final opinion would be that
with that public service board or whatever it is that does it.
They'll have the, no matter what we say, they got the final say.
So I guess what talked about earlier is, I don't even know if it comes back to us again, if it's just to them, if it's,
We'll get another chance to provide input.
right, you know, if you were to change heights or distances or whatnot.
and we understand we could just, you know, go directly to the PUC, but we'd rather go with your blessing.
Well, you're not blessed, I guess, Dave. We're
Well,
not trying to, we're just trying to follow a town plan as we've had it interpreted by someone that truly knows more about interpreting the thing than I do. So that's what we're using as a basis for what we're doing.
Well, I'm still having a hard time seeing it in this language. I'd really like to see some highlights.
Sit down with that and the town plan and compare on which pages it's pointing out. Follow up with us if you want.
I mean, maybe it would help if I could see, you know, the actual, I mean, that isn't the actual opinion of the attorney.
Pretty much a synopsis of it, isn't it?
It's a summary, summarized by the town, to provide you the information that you've been requesting.
I guess what Mr. Horgan's looking for is a yes and no from who? PUC or the select board? That's what he's looking for.
There are two paragraphs at the end of the memo that suggest that you go and look at the memo, the town plan, and then your plans, and decide whether there's a way to make a happy medium. Find a middle ground between what's been suggested in the town plan, what's been suggested in the community, and what is suggested in your plans. Is there something that can be done to mitigate the things that are coming up? And that's really in your department, it's your job. And when you have done that, you can come back and talk about it. And that is, the invitation is also written in there, that you have every right to come back and then talk about it with the select board.
Very good. Okay.
You know.
So how do we, at this point, I guess we need to, I don't know, if you want a blessing from the town, I guess we need to see something different than what's proposed. Am I getting this right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to be fair here, I'm not trying to,
yeah, we're not.
we're not proposing one thing or the other, but we are defending the town plan. From the information, legal information we received. So,
And I think Ron's made a good suggestion, and we can probably do that. We can probably make them so you can't see them from the water. It will compromise their performance a little bit, but if that would get us the nod of the select board, we could probably live with that.
We import some big high redwoods from California or something.
Yeah, block the wood.
That block the wind.
Well, or we could plant them in other places, which,
get the plywood ones in there, or,
well, they are pretty, spindly.
you ever been around those redwoods?
Oh, I don't mean the redwood, I
I was
mean
gonna say.
my little tower, but,
Yeah.
no, I've seen some pictures.
We drove through that one. Is that one burned? That one that you could drive through? We drove through that one about 15 years ago. That was quite an experience.
Bobby, do you by any chance?
Okay, so we're, at this point right now, we're done discussion on the windmills. Is
I'd
that?
like to bring up something, a point.
Sure.
Do you have the ability of bringing up the energy, the enhanced energy plan? And on page 106, it shows the map CF wind.
I can't do that because our screen is not working, but that was something that came up and was discussed at a previous meeting. That map specifically.
I think we're.
I think we're at this, in my,
now, I
at
think.
this point, we're done. If Dave and Peggy can come back with something that, those changes that seem unacceptable, then we can talk about it more.
Well, I think we're 45 days into a 45-day at this point. And we've already run down an extension, and we're asking for another extension, so I think, we've been pretty patient. So we probably should get on the agenda for the next meeting, and if I see a week from now that we're not gonna be able to perform, I'll let you know, but, time is still of the essence.
That's reasonable to you, gentlemen?
Sure. Sure.
Let's go with that one and see where we wind up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it comes quick, doesn't it? Now, there's a couple of pictures.
Yeah.
That's about what it looks like most of the time. You know what I mean? It's gray, and you can't see it. Yeah, I don't know who took these photos, but they look like they were taken closer than the Doobie Ranch, but lots of times they're just invisible.
So fabulous. Enjoying him a lot. Oh my God, I never dreamed it would be this wonderful.
So the minutes are on the back.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good night.
Good night.
For approval, I guess.
So good about that.
Some of the agendas. Let's see. Do you have a copy of the minutes from last meeting?
They're on the back of the agenda. Your time.
I make a motion we approve the minutes from 13 February.
Somebody second that?
I have one adjustment, there needs to be, Stantec's name is Stantec with a C, no CH.
I wasn't here, but I watched you guys on TV.
Stand
Well, we're pretty interested.
Just a C, no H.
See, I was the only one that wasn't here.
We moved that along, it was nice, we were out of here at 8 o'clock. Will someone second these? Then we can adjust them if need be.
How about you second?
Yes, I can, but I wasn't here.
Oh, no, Gavin, you second.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Is there any other thing that doesn't seem, needs a change or not? Take a vote on them?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Enough. Might as well do the purchase orders, I mean the warrants
I
right
make a motion, we approve the warrants that were passed out at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay.
Did you have payroll from Kathy?
I did, what is it?
I didn't see it. Sorry.
Okay, so you wanna look at those first, Dave?
No, I'll look that after.
Okay. So we'll get that one.
You don't have a second yet, Governor.
Oh, I thought,
Yeah,
Ron?
what's the second?
I seconded it, so,
You did?
Okay.
Ron made the motion.
yeah. And all in favor?
Aye.
And the warrants?
I make a motion, we approve the warrants.
Okay,
I'll second them.
seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I also have a certificate of highway mileage. There has been changes to the highways, but we have to have you all sign this, just stating that we have a total mile of 103 miles, .957. So if you could sign that as it comes around, that'd be great. No changes as of this year, it's just an annual confirmation.
Do we want to meet next Monday night quickly for a meeting, for town meeting, to know what's going on? Be prepared and all that?
Probably won't hurt.
Linda's available next
So
Monday.
if we made it just a meeting, not a public meeting, just a meeting, so we're preparing ourselves for town meeting.
So just a heads up that we have a planning and zoning meeting that night.
Oh, that's that big one?
That's the big one,
Oh.
and we're gonna run out of chairs.
Oh,
And
we'll
that's
do it during
next,
the day?
that's next week.
Are you
Yeah,
available?
you'll use these chairs?
We'll use every chair that we can find, probably have to haul them from downstairs to upstairs.
What's going on?
There's a subdivision request on Church Road for 9 homes, planned unit development, that,
Has generated a lot of controversy.
a lot of controversy.
Yeah. Worrying about aquifers and talking about drilling 9 wells. I stopped Saturday, they had a meeting, I thought, I might as well form myself some here. I was interested, entertaining and educational. So, we could, what time is that, 7?
Yeah,
We wanna meet?
Well, we can meet at 7, I mean, we're not gonna be here that long, we can
No, but
stay.
we could meet at 6,
Yeah.
and then we'd be out of here.
Could you do 5:30? That would give a half an hour to switch over.
Is there anything you gentlemen could do?
Yeah, I could do it, 5:30.
Ron?
Yeah, I'm good.
Dave?
It's too far away from your plan.
Okay. Put up.
Well, it's kind of a contingency, right? It's kind of a placeholder for,
4:30.
Yeah, if it's early, I can.
Yeah, 5:30, and we'll just,
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't think we'd need more than half an hour, and then we'd be done and gone.
Just to be ready.
Yeah. So,
So, what do you? Redwood.
yeah, kind of a work session, so we know what we're talking about.
so Redwood.
Were you privy to
Yeah,
this?
that's what we drove through. Is that Joe?
sure.
Put a wind turbine on top of that, you're in good shape.
You'd want a
36
fire-
feet in diameter.
You'd
Did a
want a
good job,
fireproof,
Dave.
you'd want a fireproof.
You did a good job, Dave.
I answered a conference call today, so I
Thank you.
Yeah, and another engineer.
Meeting, but there is one more. I did bring in the revised personnel policy, those 2 revisions that clarify the comp time question, really small changes to make it all in line, so including any leave time is one addition on page 10, and compensatory time off is the change on 8, and it just basically
Thank you. Need a motion?
all of that. I need a motion and I need them to be, it to be signed. Make a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the changes to clarify existing personnel compensation policy.
Thank you.
Okay, somebody second that?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Not? Went through? Now, let me know, have we heard anything about that insurance? We were gonna talk about prices and quotes and,
No, I'm sorry, I'm actually right back on that now. So yes, I'm putting together all of the information that they need, and that should be ready, I think by the next meeting, for sure. Tyler Billingsley, the agreement was paid, so we had an agreement, it was vetted by legal counsel. We made a few changes to benefit the town, and he's starting to work on permits and engineering for the North Road culvert.
Oh, that's good.
And this is the one by Robbie Danny's.
Yeah, the big project.
That's another one we should, the grant writer will put it. We should look at Agency of Ag and see if they'll put money in for a CalPass.
Ooh.
That would be nice.
Wow, that's a really good idea.
Yeah. No, that's
I
a good
wish
idea.
I could claim credit for that. I have not given Norman credit though, so.
Yeah, do away with that.
I can
Will
talk,
they do that now? You know, I mean, with the fishies and,
Yeah, more reason to.
right, cows, but, so they'd run, knowing the way they operate now, they'd wanna run a twin tunnel. You know, water on one side, cattle on the other.
oh man,
If they'll pay for it, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care if
Triple
they,
tunnels.
yeah, if they would put the money into it and pay for the whole thing.
yeah, I can have them do some research on that,
But that may be, a quick call to the ag department
yeah,
Yeah.
should get us some sort of an answer.
okay. Plowing from Fairfield Center School, the request was accepted for the time that they received the request, so that was in the beginning of February, after we'd all got done all of the, squared away, so, they would like to make sure that that's when the change starts, because it's an unanticipated increase in their budget. They've been receptive.
We've had a lot of those.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of those this year, too.
It's retroactive to 2018.
Yeah.
But they're receptive to the fact that we weren't covering our costs, they saw
So
that.
what did that increase to? So
I actually don't have that in front of me.
I can't remember, we talked numbers and come up with numbers that night. I
Yeah,
can't
it's
remember.
exactly what you,
Whatever we
Yeah,
came out. Well,
exactly. Oh,
yeah,
we
I
don't
do
have to-
have it. What it came down to,
we should
when
have,
we did the math,
but we didn't, so we'll live with the rest of the year. There's still quite a bit of time of plowing.
when I did the math, so I proposed some numbers, and then you asked me to increase it by 9% to cover inflation for the upcoming year. So what it comes down to is $145 per plow, which includes the equipment rate and the cost of staff with all of the benefits. And $276 per salting, which assumes 11.5 pounds of salt each time.
Yep, move on.
Okay. And that money, I mean, we have always put it into that small truck fund, so we could replace it.
Assuming that we had the same amount, yeah.
Yeah, it varies.
Yeah, it
I mean, you
varies.
could have ice till April.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
I'm surprised they don't want an annual contract. Just flat.
Well, I think they would prefer that. I do think that they would prefer that.
I would look at the numbers on a high end, and then say, do you accept this annually?
Now that we have those numbers,
Right.
and I proposed them, and you accepted them, and they were all kind of discussed, I'm happy to draft a contract with our lawyer to give to them.
Well, let's see how the rest of this year works out.
Yeah.
We can do that for next year.
You don't have to do it now, but I would think that
Right.
even that the school would rather see it,
Yeah.
put it in their budget, this is what it is.
Right.
Make it
That's
high.
20 every year instead
Yeah.
of 10-1 and 45 in the next.
Yeah.
Right, that's a lot of work for you. If you did it annual, it'd be done at one time. Yeah.
The other, I was just thinking about also, we never had a contract with our mowing guy. The mowing people, we had a
And we go
bid.
screwing around with that because
Do
they'll
you
catch
want
us so.
one?
You don't,
You don't touch that one.
Okay,
That works
no-
well, and
no
they do a heck of a
contract.
job.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So just because we had the bidding process, it occurred to me that we didn't have a contract there. So the town budget, originally, thank you so much for that. I need to make sure we got you all for this. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the original guess of our surplus was going to be that we would end up with $12,000 as a surplus, and the original motion that we made when we were doing our budget was that we would use $33,000 to keep the budget at a 5, of ARPA funds, to keep it at a 5.87% increase. And now, actually, we're ending with a surplus of 9,260, so we're off a few. If we want to keep the, if we want to keep all the numbers correct that are on the warning, we would need to either contribute $35,740 instead of $33, or we also have an estimated surplus over time that we could draw from as well. So that would be another option. Let's see where we are. And the auditors are gonna have a draft of final numbers.
So you can reduce the budget $2,000, right?
If we reduce the budget $2,000, we have to make a change to the warning at town meeting in order to do that. By using ARPA, we don't change anything except for the overall budget, and it doesn't come out of taxpayer change. This doesn't change the taxpayer rate.
So do you need a motion to take 2,000 more out of ARPA to do
Yeah,
this?
so the question is, would you,
So just keep it simple. Someone make a motion to add $2,000 from ARPA?
so
Make the
the
budget
ARPA, change the budget, so the ARPA contribution is $35,740.
Will someone make the motion?
I'll make a motion.
Will someone second it?
Second.
Anybody opposed? If not, all in favor?
Oh, it's
Aye.
not works.
Okay, what else you
Just the town meeting, planning, that was it. We're good.
got? Okay, so we're gonna actually, next Monday night, try to meet around 5:30.
5:30.
We will have a draft report from the auditor by then.
We will have it on Thursday. That was what they said. They told me they would get it to me this Thursday. That's as last minute as you can possibly get. And we also put in our budget, in our book, that we would have a full treasurer's report available at the town meeting. So Amanda's waiting for that as well. So she's, as soon as we get the audit, the draft audit, she'll get it, and she'll provide a 2-page treasurer's report that goes along with, I did some finance part of the report as well in the town book. I think we have 2 of those books on the table as well. The town plan, the town report.
So what I just gave you is what came up with this planned unit development on Church Road. People have been increasingly asking for electronic land records, and that's currently not something we do. So you need to decide if you want us to change that.
Is that big of a deal to do?
Electronic deeds?
No. Materials.
All of it, like for, what they wanted was the electronic application, including all of the, like the drawings and everything. Is it a big deal? We can get it from the engineer electronically, I would imagine. Just we've never made it accessible electronically. We've made people come in and get it. Because it's more, if we're gonna ask Melanie to coordinate that, we're gonna be paying Melanie more, because she's gonna be more hours.
Can you charge to send it out? People request copies of it?
Public access.
It's gotta be public access, but we've made them come here to get it previously.
And Melanie is suggesting there be a policy on this. And I've connected with VLCT, and they said that there are other communities that have a policy such as this, how to electronic documentation access. So I can find out those.
So are they talking this for everything or for zoning?
So this is the thing, if we have something that says that we are going to provide information prior to a project, a land project, it does open the opportunity for us to, or the nightmare of us to now have to post all of the things prior to any project, road projects, other kinds of projects, so. And all of it is already, you know, this is an open document, but it's about having it online.
So it's a matter of setting up the website so Melanie can upload stuff.
There was a very strong email that's attached from somebody who has planning experience and was kind of shocked and sort of horrified that we aren't doing this already. So it's
I take it as the town and state of Vermont doesn't do it.
I have to go, there's a listserv that the VLCT requested that I put it out on the listserv to all of the planning and zoning to Vermont, so I have that list. I can put that out, how many people have a policy like this, and get that information for you.
I'd want something like that before I go doing anything, just to see.
And you need to recognize that it's gonna increase Melanie's hours.
Of course it is, yeah. So we raise the fees up. That's how you do that.
Well,
So that, they're looking for the,
But they wanted, if that meeting I got, they wanted to go online and find all the
and
stuff
all
that's
the
in place.
electronic records, yeah.
All of the records.
Anything that was related to that project.
Yes.
They wanted it,
And
so that
that
means
is
it would
currently
continue.
not available electronically.
Right.
but isn't the developer, doesn't he have to send all that material to every adjoining landowner?
They get
Anyways.
sent everything. They send a letter to the adjoining landowners that says this is what the project entails, but it doesn't have the maps and all that stuff. They're invited to come to the town office and access it, or they can come on Monday night and hear the presentation. Or both. But they wanted, this Jean Richardson, she wanted to be able to access it in advance because they had that planning meeting on Saturday.
Well, you know what,
I
I
also
just read
did that.
her email, and I would say, I would like you to have a discussion with Melanie and see, you know, and see, I don't wanna react to
Yeah,
this.
she
I
and
want,
I
I
did
wanna
have-
know what it takes, I wanna know, you know, what
It's
the,
actually, I think, a conversation with Matt in the.
oh, the technology?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to find out if the website can actually.
And also, once you
Post.
start it, you wanna have to deal with every project the town does.
Yeah,
There's a
exactly.
ditching project.
And I
whether
could
it's
go on the
bridge
listserv
repair
and
or
find
whatever.
out, find out.
Because if you start it with one, you're gonna start it with it all. And that,
It's-
do you want it, that's an extra administration
It's
cost.
minutes to our meetings, it's minutes
Yeah.
to Melissa's meetings.
We have
it's
those already.
everything that's-
Yeah,
Well, I don't think it's an unreasonable request,
we need more information.
Yeah, that's like kind of a rough idea, how much it's gonna cost us to do
Right.
this.
Mhm.
It's nice to talk about these things, but if it adds another $10,000, rough, I'm just throwing a number out.
Right.
Another year to this thing, it's like,
So I'll go on the listserv to find out what policies exist. I'll talk to Melanie about her estimate of how much time it would take. And I will talk to Matt and find out if it's even something that we can host on our current platform, or if we would need to have a whole new structure.
yeah, because it seems like I remember talking about something, there was some of the old zoning and planning stuff that was still on.
Yeah,
When did we adopt a plan, a couple of years ago, a different plan?
Yeah,
And there's some stuff from the previous plan still on
yeah.
the site.
Yeah, I just took those off. There were
Oh,
two,
good.
yeah, two things that.
While you're talking about increasing fees, Dan Brandon is not here tonight, but I would assume he will approach one or more of you individually. He tore down the old house on West Street and built a new one without a permit. So we told him that it's gonna cost him double. That's what the rule is. If you don't apply for a permit, then you pay double after. And he's very upset about that and was going to talk to the select board to have them change that. So
Just
as
for
a-
him?
Just for him, yes, because he doesn't think that he should have to pay double.
Is it written in?
It is written,
That's not, it's in policy.
it's a policy.
So it's part of your zoning
It
thing
is
as
part
we
of,
speak?
it's part of, yeah.
Yeah.
He,
Probably not gonna touch that one, are we? Not sure, huh?
Same as
Anybody
changing
else?
everything else.
Yeah, not changing.
I'm just giving you a heads up because he's not here this evening, so I assume that means he will approach somebody individually.
Okay, have we got any other business?
Are you good?
I'm good.
I'm good.
You guys good?
Good.
You are? Somebody make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
We're done.